Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of the newscast on Equinoxe television in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. We are bringing to you news from Cameroon, and in this edition of the news we will talk about the international organization Amnesty International, which is urging the Cameroon government to punish all territorial surveillance authorities who arrested and tortured members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party. This is contained in the last report of the organization, in which it condemns continuous crackdown on opposition politicians in Cameroon. And also in this newscast we shall take you to Nyasoso in the Kupema division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where the people or the population are expressing great determination to put an end to the atrocities, killings and destruction that have been going on not only in Nyasoso but across the two English-speaking regions of the Republic of Cameroon for more than 4 years today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news. My name is Pablo Jonathan. Amnesty International demands that the Cameroon government should punish all territorial surveillance authorities who are said to have arrested and punished, or better still tortured, members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement CRM political party. In its last report on the situation in Cameroon, the international organization condemned continuous crackdown on opposition politicians in the country. For me, Armstrong Sander, Fires in details.
Amnesty International says the arrest, arbitrary detentions and prosecution in military courts of opposition members who are peacefully gathering are the latest examples of Cameroonian authorities' crackdown on dissenting voices since late September 2020. In the report published on December 9, 2020, the international rights group says at least 500 people were arrested on September 22nd, and majority of whom were members of the opposition Cameroon Renaissance Movement's political party. Of those arrested, 160, according to Amnesty International, remain in detention. 13 have been sentenced to prison by civilian courts, and 14 appeared before a military court. Fabian Ofne, Amnesty International West and Central Africa researcher, says the harsh repression of opposition and dissenting voices show no sign of relenting in recent months. People simply exercising their rights to freedom of peaceful assemblies and demonstrations have paid a high price, with prison terms based on trumped-up charges. The researcher is also quoted saying that the authorities must immediately put an end to the mass arbitrary arrest and detentions and immediately release prisoners of conscience. To the non-governmental organization, protests were scheduled for September 22, 2020 by members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement's political party in several towns and cities in Cameroon, but they were banned by Cameroonian authorities, which waged a campaign of arrest and arbitrary detentions of CRM party supporters. What further illustrates that at least 45 members of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement's political party, also arrested on September 22nd, were convicted of attempted revolt, rebellion, aggravated assembly and lack of national identity cards by the Yaoundé military court, which placed them in a pre-trial detention. Those in prison, according to Amnesty International, includes Olivier Bibo-Nissak, Maurice Kamto, spokesperson, national treasurer of the CRM political party. Amnesty International spoke to a CRM party member arrested in September in Douala, who said he was subjected to torture or other ill treatments during his interrogation, which took place without the presence of his lawyer at the Directorate of Territorial Surveillance, the DST. Amnesty International further asks that all acts of torture and other suffering inflicted by agents of the DST on those arrested should be impartially and independently investigated, and those responsible prosecuted and punished.
Young people in Nyasoso in the Kmer division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, say they are determined to put an end to killings and destruction that have been going on in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon for the past 4 years within the context of the Anglophone crisis that has continued worsening for close to 4 years, or more than 4 years today. And some of the young people arrested 3 suspected pro-independence fighters recently and handed 2 of them to security and defense forces. The 3rd escaped on his way to the hospital while he was being taken to the hospital after he suffered jungle justice in the hands of the angry mob. And the people are now saying that it is time to put an end to the atrocities in the area of residence. Details in this report by Smanjik and Kmer.
It was an unusual atmosphere that was witnessed in Nyasoso village this Thursday. The population arrested 2 young men who had plans of kidnapping workers who are walking on the stretch of road linking Tombel to Bangem, chief town of Kmer division.
2 tameless individuals that had been perpetrating fear, and their mission was to stop the road construction works between Tombel and Bangem. The population, with their courage, came out, had 2 of them arrested, and they put our disposal. To presently, those individuals are at the level of the brigade for exploitation.
A total of 5 boys came from Mahole, Trungusi to Nyasoso, where they successfully took the 5 workers on hostage and seized the keys of the bulldozer. Unfortunately, when news got into the ears of the youth in Nyasoso, they mobilized and in a manhunt managed to arrest 3 of them. 2 escaped. The 3 were administered snake beatings, and 1 who sustained a lot of injuries on his way to the hospital escaped, leaving the population with just 2 out of the 3 they had initially caught. As a result of the incident on Thursday, the workers on the stretch of road linking Tombel to Bangem had a day of recess this Friday, expecting to continue from Saturday. For work to resume, the divisional officer has this in mind.
Along the road from Suke right up to Ngomboko, all the villages are going to constitute vigilant committees that will be able to assist in securing those who are doing the work and securing the machines that are working. That notwithstanding, the force of law and order, of course, will obviously be along that road, ensuring that there is maximum security for those who are doing the work.
The population of Nyasoso have also been told to be more vigilant.
I insisted and called on the vigilant committee that is very active to continue with the good work that they are doing on the ground.
The 2 who were arrested will help security forces in their investigations.
From Nyasoso to Ako in the Donga-Mantum division, northwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where municipal authorities are striving in the midst of insecurity and uncertainty looming in the area and the rest of Anglophone Cameroon because of the security crisis that has been pulling on for close to 4 years, more than 4 years. Today, they are struggling in the Ako to enhance the development of the area, to carry on with developmental efforts to save the area from underdevelopment challenges, and the municipal authorities are working in an atmosphere which is relatively difficult compared to before 2016, when the crisis started and the municipal authorities were commissioned into their functions recently by the senior division officer of the Donga-Mantum division. Details in this report by Kmer.
The sum of 553,022,014 francs CFA has been voted as the budget of the Ako Council in the Donga Mantung division of the Northwest region for the 2021 fiscal year. The validation took place in the presence of the senior divisional officer for Donga Mantung, Dr. Nkwenti Simon, who is the supervisory authority.
Ako is a border municipality to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and as a result, our attention is triple full also.
The Lord Mayor of Ako, Nkanya Nkwai Godlove, calls on all development stakeholders to put hands on deck so as to assist him achieve his operation. No public investment project goes back to Yaoundé come 2021.
Our immediate challenge is that of peace, restoring peace into the subdivision. So me and my entire team, we are committed in working out a formula that will usher peace into our municipality better than we have and better than it has ever been. You know, we are very disadvantaged in the fact that we are situated in geography so distant away from civilization. So we are determined to make sure we expose ourselves and make ourselves visitable, make ourselves open so that development, international organizations will find the reason to come into our subdivision and bring us the development that we need.
Speaking at the session, he calls on his brothers in the bushes to come out and lay down their arms and equally create an enabling environment for projects to be carried out in the Ako municipality. Furthermore, he is appealing to the government through the senior divisional officer for the tarring of the West African border road from Camer through Berabe to Abunchi so as to boost the economy of his municipality, confirming the saying, where the road goes, development follows. The senior divisional officer on his part congratulated Mayor Nkanya Nkwai and his team, which for the past 10 months have worked tirelessly together with their divisional officer to achieve the peace that reigns today in Ako, which was one of the hardest hit areas of the Donga Mantung division during this socio-political tension rocking the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. A council session which was crowned with a ministerial decree from the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development for the official installation of Mayor Nkanya Nkwai Godlove and his deputies. The installation ceremony took place at the Ako Municipal Grandstand, where councillors, traditional rulers, elites, and the local population were present to witness the mayor, who promised to enhance development in the area and disenclave the municipality come 2021.
A family in Banka, Bafang West region of the Republic of Cameroon cry out for justice in a land dispute with a business tycoon. The family is claiming that it has a land title over the land being disputed, while the business tycoon is also claiming ownership of the land and presenting documents indicating that he has legal ownership of the land, and the family is being forcefully kicked out of the land, and the people are crying out to the judiciary or to judicial authorities to give them what they want, that is justice. Details in this report by Innocent Aze.
A family and some sympathizers in Banka, Bafang in the West region, rioting and denouncing corruption being practiced by a certain Mr. Ngemenyi Jean-Claude and his magistrate friend claiming ownership of this piece of land he has constructed on, left behind by late Madame Monkam Elise.
Elle a défendu pour tout le terrain de son papa.
Famille pour mon cas Elise de toxé. Oui terrain, na terrain pour mon cas Elise, na y on. C'est comment faut.
They have filed complaints at the Bafang Court of First Instance for justice to be done, but received a frustrating answer despite presentation of the land title.
Si président tribunal président toxé mon cas Elise annoncé na y on. Mais man de passe man. Si vous la 10 mots de talk true. A
battle they say can never be won by the said Mr. Ngemenyi.
When you the men know that we beg you say let this terrain.
They stressed He does not have any land certificate, and their late sister was willed the land by her father, with Ngemeni now claiming he bought the land.
You don't build house for ground way, you don't get book. We will get book. We papa will be now, he will give ground for Munkam. He say don't buy ground. You don't buy ground for Wukaman. Make talk man we don't buy ground for you. He no get people for man we buy ground for you. He no get no book where logi say na he ground.
Equinoxe Television contacted the said Mr. Ngemeni Jean-Claude.
C'est Equinoxe TV. C'est M. Ngemeni? Oui, il y a eu un mouvement d'humeur là à Banca.
Je n'ai pas d'interview à vous donner dans cette affaire parce que...
He says he has no interview to accord us on the affair, that the plaintiff should go anywhere and seek justice.
Si quelqu'un dit qu'il n'a plus son terrain, il prend. Il a la...
Adding he did not buy the piece of land to return it just like that. He claims to be in possession of the land documents and is currently in court with the matter.
Moi, je sais que sur mon terrain, j'ai mes documents. Il est parti au tribunal, nous sommes au tribunal. Merci de m'avoir appelé.
Ok, merci de vous écouter.
Relatives of the late Madame Monkam Elise, claiming ownership and presenting a land title, expect the head of state should act through the Prime Minister for the matter to be aborted once and for all.
Cameroonian lawmakers have adopted 4,865.2 billion francs CFA as budget for the 2021 financial year. This is one of the major outcomes of the last parliamentary session, which ended today. And the parliamentarians, of course, discussed the budget, discuss all the aspects of the budget and other issues of national interest. At the end of the plenary of today, we spoke to Cabral Libi, Honorable Cabral Libi, Member of Parliament and National President of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation. Take a listen.
It was for us an opportunity to implement one of the main recommendations of major national dialogue in direction of the territorial collectivities. And these recommendations are in the law voted last year about these collectivities. 15% of our budget should be given to the territorial collectivities. But when you look at this budget, we don't have 15%. We don't have 8%. We don't have 7%. We have 0% to this general dotation created by the law voted last year. It is an opportunity to permit to these collectivities to realize things for the population in the proximity. But the power is always centralized. The state refuses to do what people is waiting, and we will continue as we know without results. That's why we are angry. So we are waiting. We are also calling for population. We should have in this assembly the person who represents really the population. But till then, we will continue to support. What do you want?
COVID-19 figures of the week from the Ministry of Public Health of the Republic of Cameroon indicate that the country is now counting 25,087 persons who have been tested positive of coronavirus. 23,851 have been successfully treated, while 443 persons have died of coronavirus in the country. Now, active cases, we have 793 cases in intense medical care. We have 50, including 02 under oxygen, and healing rate stands at 95%, and case fatality rate 1.7%, severity rate 0.2%, bed occupancy rate 1.5%, and of course the Minister of Public Health and other Cameroonian government authorities say that the population must continue to scrupulously respect barrier measures. Unfortunately, this is not what is happening within the Cameroonian society today. The non-respect of anti-COVID-19 measures has become practically a normal thing in the Cameroonian society, and medics indicate that this is the major cause of the increase in COVID-19 figures in the country. We talked to a senior nurse at the Lakentini Hospital. She's the general supervisor of the Lakentini Hospital of Douala, Dr. Elangwe Joyce Nebasi. Take a listen to her.
Lately, because the Cameroon population are not respecting the barrier measures put in place by the Ministry of the Public Health. If you see, when you go around town, even people don't more wear masks, even social distancing is no longer respected. So I would like to call on the population to respect these measures. COVID-19 is real and it's not yet eradicated in Cameroon. So we are calling on the population to respect these barrier measures to curb the spread in Cameroon. Prevention, they say in English, is better than cure. So it's good to respect these barrier measures and limit the spread of COVID-19. Yes, it's a festive period where families need to gather, to share. But please, let us respect these barrier measures. Let's not take this festive period and get ourselves contaminated or infected. Let's respect the barrier measures and curb the spread of COVID-19 in Cameroon.
Elangwe Joyce speaking to us, the general supervisor of the Lakentini Hospital of Douala, and she also told us that the hospital, which had a bad reputation in the past, has changed completely, and much has been done to improve on the quality of services and the environment in the ward and around the hospital premises. And the hospital has taken a complete new facelift with the arrival of the new director general of that, health amenity in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. We shall come back to this in a subsequent news editions. Now, out of Cameroon, 8 agencies say that before we go to Ethiopia to talk about 8 agencies who have been killed, we go to the United States of America, which has recorded the world's highest number of deaths in coronavirus. The number of death cases continue rising in the United States of America. Take a listen to this health expert.
It's really unfortunate to watch. It really is bad. We're watching various healthcare systems there that are getting stretched to and even beyond capacity. The sad thing is many people in the medical, the scientific, the public health community saw it coming and have been essentially warning that this could happen for months now. So it's really unfortunate that this is happening because lots of this, not all of this, but lots of this was preventable. It's going to take time to roll vaccines out to priority populations, then of course the community at large. But the United States has tremendous resources, and when we hear about their plans to roll out these vaccines en masse, it's a pretty impressive task, but I think they're up to it, and I think that they're going to start to see some of the early benefits of these vaccines, well before you reach something like herd immunity. If you can really target priority populations that are disproportionately impacted by the virus and who are more likely to have severe outcomes from this virus, you can actually do a lot of good early on, and I think we're going to start to see that. But of course, they're in a very tough spot right now, and they need to start to deploy these vaccines as soon as possible. When we look at various approaches to vaccine rollout, I think it's important to target priority populations, the who should be vaccinated, but also the where. Where are we vaccinating as well? And certainly you can do a lot of good if you target those heavily impacted regions as well. I think these vaccines, in fact, some of the data we're seeing from the Pfizer vaccine, for example, demonstrate a pretty impressive degree of immunity about 10 days after the first dose, and it's a 2-dose vaccine. Of course, people should still get their second dose, but we might even start to see benefits if enough people are vaccinated early on, even after the first dose. So I think it looks like you can do a lot of good. It should also be mentioned that just because vaccine programs are going to be rolling out, we still have to adhere to these fundamental public health principles of putting on a mask, physically distancing, avoiding crowded settings. But I think once vaccine programs are rolled out and more people in the population are vaccinated, we'll probably start to see a gradual lifting of these restrictions.
Now to Ethiopia, aid agencies say 4 aid workers have been killed in the country's Tigray region. The Danish Refugee Council reported the death of 2 security guards, while the International Refugee Committee said one of its staff members had been killed. The Danish Refugee Council reported the death of 3 of its workers, and not 2 as earlier indicated, and government forces have been battling the Tigray People's Liberation Front in the region since November 4. The government says it is in control of Tigray and the conflict is over, but Tigray People's Liberation Front leaders say they are still fighting on various fronts. Meanwhile, the United States of America has accused Eritrean forces of entering Tigray something both Ethiopia and Eritrea have denied. Talking Point is up next. Thank you for staying with us. We are receiving a traditional authority in the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, His Majesty Etina Monono, second-class traditional ruler of great support in Boya. Thank you, His Majesty, for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila Jonathan. It's a pleasure for you to invite me to your prestigious Equinoxe television.
How is great support today?
Great support is faring very well, very, very well, in view of what they are seeing, which is coming to great support to FACO and to the whole of the southwest region.
All right. No shootings, no killing, no destruction. Everything is okay. Is that what you're saying?
Well, there's been no shootings for quite a while now. So we think that things are improving. Definitely. We have not had any shootings. There have been a couple of boys who have been trying to attempt to destabilize the village, but our vigilante groups have done very well in trying to get them. And what the chief and his traditional councillors advise is that when they get these young men, in fact, we got one who actually came to the palace yesterday, and what we did was we got him examined, and we found out that he was just a young man who was misled, and we sent him now to the forces of law and order to take care of him. What we do in the village is that we don't want people to be beaten up. When the vigilante groups get anybody, we take them or the persons in charge who have done anything to the forces of law and order, not for us to go into what we call jungle justice in Great Support Village.
Jungle justice, it should be noted, is forbidden by the Cameroonian law.
Exactly.
Is forbidden and it's punishable by the law in Cameroon. The young man you mentioned earlier, has he been taken to the DDR center or is still in the hands of security forces?
It's still in the hands of security forces. They're doing their own investigation, and then they will, of course, determine whether it's dangerous to the community or he was just 17 years old. In my opinion, I saw him to be somebody who was not completely mentally stable. So a situation like that does not require that the man should be treated very badly. We have other avenues for which perhaps he might need help, and I think this is what the forces of law and order are doing to ensure that they get him to the place where he should get proper treatment.
What exactly is the vigilante committee doing?
Well, the vigilante committee goes around the village on a daily basis, especially at night, to make sure that everybody keeps to their homes at a certain time of the night, and to ensure that no acts of atrocities are caused. Because a lot of people who stay up late at night, go to drinking places, at a certain point in time, they start getting very, very dangerous to the community. We, the village and the community, ensure that we give these vigilante groups a small amount of money to get torchlights and things like baton sticks and so on, and they go around, and with that, with their presence around, it deters a lot of happenings in the village. And we tell them, of course, as I just said, that please get whoever is not doing what he's supposed to do, bring them to the if you can bring them to the chief's palace, fine. If not, they are taken to the gendarmes, who are the people specialized, gendarmes and police, to handle cases like those.
Who controls the vigilante committee?
Vigilante committee is controlled in terms of the whole village by the chief, and then the various quarter heads. We have quarter heads in 13 quarters of Great Support who control the vigilante groups. And these people are specialized. Some of them are ex-army people, and they know how to handle people in the best way possible, not to brutalize them. I insist that they should not be brutalized in my village, especially a cosmopolitan village, which we have. Otherwise, you find a situation where if somebody is perhaps from the northwest or from south region is brutalized, they'll say that the people of Great Support are brutalizing somebody not from their own village. That does not happen in Great Support.
Right. Did they go through any kind of training?
Yes, because most of them are ex-army people. They went through local training inside the village. The people, I have some people, I cannot name them, who are ex-police people, who train them. They tell them the basic things that they should know. Of course, taking very good care that they don't get into a situation where they handle arms. There are no arms. They just teach them few tricks, karate and so on, judo and so on, to make people to demobilize them so that they are not able to fight them back. And this is a situation which we have found very successful. We hope that in future the situation will arise where we can arrange a program for them to go perhaps to the police or to the gendarme for a short period for more effective training. But so far it has been very effective, and we are very happy that we are keeping it up. But I must add that it's an expensive exercise, but the village is bound to take it seriously because it is helping us very much.
They have no arms?
No arms. No, they have no arms.
What do they have?
Just baton sticks. Just baton sticks, which cost about 150 francs, which are done by local carpenters and so on. But they are encouraged not to use it except somebody becomes violent, and if that is the case, they don't brutalize them. If they manage to get them under control, they take them to the authorities.
Is it not risky for them to go tracking some people with guns, with sticks?
It is, but the law of Cameroon does not enable people to carry guns. What happens is that if you see people who are with guns, their first thing is to use, we have numbers like we have the 1510, which they use to call the police, so that by the time they get close to them, in a very short time, the police or the gendarmes have come to their rescue.
They're working in collaboration with the security and defense forces.
Oh yes, very, very much. And we have to pay special thanks to our security and law-abiding officers who are helping us considerably. The guard, for instance, myself, the police comes to my palace once a day and so on, and move around even at night. And they do that to the rest of the village, not just to me.
Has any of them been attacked?
Not so far, not so far. The people of support have been told that the forces of law and order are there to help them. They should not be attacked. They have not so far been attacked. Although perhaps the police officers themselves or gendarmes might give you a different experience, but the chief has so far not found that these people, the police officers, have been attacked.
In this newscast, we saw some young people in the Nyasoso, in Kmer division, doing something similar to what the vigilante committee is doing in Great Support. They're rising up to say, we don't want the violence anymore, destruction, killings, kidnappings, and they arrested some 2 persons suspected to have been striving to interfere and interrupt rehabilitation works on the Tombe-Nyasoso stretch of road. What do you think about this? No,
this was a laudable initiative from these young men in Nyasoso and in the Kmer division. What they did was correct, but if I'm not mistaken, I heard that they were given a snake beating, which is what we don't say should be done. Manage to get them, hold them down, and hand them to the forces of law and order. Because we are not experts in dealing with people's lives. If you catch somebody and you start hitting them all over, you might end up hitting them where they can die. So they did a good thing by getting them, but to give them a snake beating or so is not what we encourage. So next time we hope that they can manage to get the people. In fact, it was not good that we're disturbing the development. People who are working on the roads are trying to get our infrastructures going, which is what we're all fighting for. So they should not have done that, and it was right that they got them, but then the aspect of beating was not recommended.
All right, His Majesty, let's talk about the December 6th regional elections. You were the head of the traditional rulers list in the Fako division.
Certainly.
How did the elections go?
No, the elections went very well. We had 95 chiefs who came, and 2 of them did not put in their ballot papers. So we had 93 who voted for the list of my list, which was headed by me, Chief Etina Monono, Chief Ndike Kombe of Mondoni, and Chief David Nanywe of Mile 4. So we ended up having almost 87 point something %. So it was successful.
It was successful.
Yes.
But there's a complaint coming from the traditional ruler of the Mongo clan in the Fako division, of course, His Royal Majesty Kala Eso, who says that his name was, according to him, unjustly taken out of the list.
Well, I would not call it unjustly taken out of the list, because the original list had his name, but when the list was subsequently published, some chiefs protested, and he went through the Cameroon system, which is that if you have a protest, you go to court. And as they went to court, the administrative court and the LECAM upheld their protest, and they were taken out of the list, and that was done quite fairly. So I cannot say that you can say that I was unjustly taken out. In Cameroon, we don't do that. That does not happen. So the list that came in first had their names.
2 of them.
2 of them, and their names were taken out, and they were examined by the administrative court, which is what we do in Cameroon, and the LECAM, who are in charge of elections, and their names were taken out.
Now the elections came and passed,
Yeah.
and the institutions are expected to be put in place, the regional assemblies for the northwest and southwest regions, and the regional councils in the 8 other regions, and of course the House of Chiefs in the 2 English-speaking regions.
Yeah.
What can the population expect from you, who would be in the House of Chiefs?
The population should expect a lot of us, from us, and it is. This is where we come in now, and we have to come in very strongly, because we have a mandate for 5 years, and within these 5 years we must do all we can to ensure that all our infrastructures are put in place, to ensure that all the places which we had when we were young, the Tico Airport, for instance, the deep sea port, the port in Tico, the electricity plant in Moyuka, all those places are the things which the population should expect from us. A lot of our villages don't have water. We don't have electricity. These things must be redressed. And how are they going to be redressed? They are going to be redressed by those of us who have been elected to be we are members of the House of Chiefs, and subsequently the whole entire regional council. We must do this by going to visit the various places that the various people who are responsible. Our national schools, in my personal opinion, it might not be the opinion of everybody, should have quotas for all of us. If you go now to some big schools, I don't need to name them, you find very few southwest and northwesterners inside. These are the things which we should address. And when we address these things, our young men who are misguided, who are in the bushes, will see that the country is getting to a point where they can come and join us and work very well with us to ensure that we get away from this catastrophic situation we have been facing since 2016 up to now, and it's still going on.
And for the past 30 years that the government 40 years that the government has been there. These problems have been there, some of them worsening, others being solved, and so on and so forth. So now, with the coming of the regional institutions that will be put in place, what is the assurance that the people will get what you're talking about?
The assurance is that we shall be on the backs of all the ministers. We shall be on the backs of all the director generals. We shall be on the backs of everybody who is concerned with development in any way. We have programs, although we have not sat in any of our meetings as the Regional Council and House of Chiefs, to visit the various institutions. I want to take a typical one, such as CDC. We shall have a time to go to CDC, find out from the management how far they have gone with the problems they are facing. I talked to one of them not so long ago. For this year, they have only had 2 salaries, January and February. So we shall find out from the management where have you gone, so that your situation can be redressed. And if they tell us, we then shall go to these places to ensure that we unblock any situation that is holding the release of funds or any development which is geared for this institution. We do not want CDC to go like the marketing board, which was a very good company for us. And this is what we are going to do. We shall go to the police schools and find out. If there's an intake of about 100 or 200 people, you go and find perhaps less than 10 Northwesterners and Southwesterners in it. It's not accepted. You see, these are the things that are causing the situation whereby young people who are misled go into the bushes and they start attacking people. If we can redress this in 5 years, we will be sure that things will get better and we can come back to a situation where the Northwest and the Southwest will be a place, not a frightening place like we are facing now, because believe it or not, we are at war in the Northwest and the Southwest. You move around, you don't move around as you used to move around as freely as we used to do. These things have to stop, and it is us of the Regional Council, us of the House of Chiefs, who are going to make sure that these things happen, because we are the last part of the decentralization exercise, which was started with the dialogue, and it is going right to the end to make sure that our country gets back to normal.
His Majesty Etina Monono, second-class traditional ruler of Great Sopo in Buea. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babila. I'm really delighted to be here, and I think your program is that which is helping a lot of Cameroonians, and I can see from all the things that you do, I watch your program regularly, that once you pick up something and put it in the air, in no distant time, it is regularized and people feel a lot happy about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this edition of the news. Equinoxe is up next.